Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new series on Stellaris. We're here with Michael from Gaming For Immersion channel. Say hello, Michael.
Hello, everyone.
Yep, and it's been a while. I guess for all you, I don't know. I guess we played together before. We played Baldur's Gate, but Mike plays a lot of Warhammer on his channel, and I play a lot of Baldur's Gate on my channel. But I do play Stellaris sometimes, and I've been trying to get Mike into it, telling him that at his own risk he should try this game and just get lost in it. I think Stellaris, I've played Stellaris since the day it was released in 9th of May 2016. The game has been overhauled 4 times now, and just recently I think they've released a few DLCs, patched it up, changed the way the economy works at a base level, and I think the game is in the best state it's ever been. We're on version 4.1.5 open beta, but I'm sure with 5.1.5 released, maybe 0.1.6, it really will be in a really, really good spot. Really throughout, I think there's very few things that are not balanced, I think. And so I think it's a great time to get into it. So we thought, we thought for a long time that we would do a series together to do something different, but also to get kind of Mike in it and to maybe get more other people in it. We'll do a co-op series where we play the same empire, 2 of us, and Mike can just ask me questions as a new player would, and I can answer them. With the caveat that I'm definitely not an expert. Yeah.
If you don't mind, can I jump in for a second here?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, exactly what you just said, but to add to that, this is actually a game that I have had sitting in my Steam library for years and years, because I knew a long time ago that it was the kind of game that would appeal to me, but life being what it is, I just never had the time to really bother to learn it. And when I start playing a game, I tend to really kind of get deep into it and kind of lose myself in it. And so knowing that I wasn't really going to have the time to do that, I've just kind of put it off. And so thank goodness that Immersioneer came along and has pushed me into saying basically this is the time to delve into it. So I'm pretty excited to learn about this game. It certainly looks like it has an awful lot of depth to it, which does appeal to me. And this is absolutely the first time I have ever played. So I'm coming into this basically as complete novice. And so this is a great opportunity for me, and maybe for anybody else who is watching who's unfamiliar with how to play the game, but maybe is somewhat curious about it. There's going to be a great opportunity to have an expert, because I think Immersioneer has told me he's the best Stellaris player in the world, to basically teach everything that there is to know about this game. So that's how I'm coming into it. I'm pretty excited to learn about it, but right now I really don't know much of anything. All right, anyway, back to you.
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, so I think many people looking at Stellaris and the amount of DLC it has would be pretty intimidated by it. And yes, it is a super deep game. Like I said, I've played since the day one, probably have about 800 hours in it. But I have to say, guys, I was telling Mike, I've never played a Gestalt Consciousness or a machine empire, like an AI. I've only ever played organics. And considering they changed the games 4 times, I've only completed the game. I faced the final crisis sort of maybe 2-3 times, not on patch 4.0 either. And so, there's a lot for me to learn, but I think I have a good grasp of all the basics of the game and all the different stats in this. So yeah, I guess I think I can give you a good introduction for sure. And to anyone who is watching and who's been kind of intimidated, I think the game, despite being released in 2016, the number of times they fixed it and reworked it, I think it's very fresh. And I don't think, in my theory is that we're not going to see Stellaris 2 for a while. They'll just keep adding on this, because why not? A lot of the game is just kind of stats and, mechanics, right? Because it's space. There isn't really much to do visually or to change. The engine seems to be running okay. 4.0 kind of introduced some performance issues, but I think it's rectifiable, and I think they've rectified it. Or they're going to kind of finish it up with 4.1.6. So yeah, the game's got a great life. So yeah.
Yeah, the other thing that is really appealing about this game, you said it's a lot of numbers, which is true, but I've heard, and I think you have said the same thing as well, that there's a lot of storytelling potential in this game. So it's not just going to be all about, hey, let's min-max our empire and conquer the galaxy, but there's actually going to be some story development that happens along with it.
Yeah, I think unique to For like X or any Empire building games, you'll see when we go over our sort of the Empire that Mike kind of came up with kind of a bit of my help.
Sure, blame
just
it
how
all
much
on
there
me.
is to have like how much flavor you can give your Empire, and then it's all up to you how you want to play it out in the galaxy. And so there's a lot of like anomalies, those things that happen, events, and like how you approach things and what can happen. And like I have to say, you'd be surprised how deep the mechanics go. Like you can, ally, war, exterminate everybody, ally with everybody, get everyone together. Like there is, I personally think that every time I play Stellaris, I just get lost in it because there's like a whole story to be told. And if you're, like, RPG player and you like to spend a lot of time in like character creation, I think like no other game, Stellaris nailed that, where you could just spend hours in Empire creation, like literally hours.
So those of you who watch my Warhammer videos know that I tend to make a lot of decisions not based on what is functionally most advantageous, but often just what fits the theme. So I'm looking forward to doing that in this game as well.
Yeah, I think we definitely can. So I guess with that all said, I hope you guys join us. Give it a like if you enjoyed and you want to see like the series play out to the full end. But I guess let's jump into it and just go over the Empire that we've created, right?
Yeah, let's dive in.
To keep this episode manageable. Yep, so I'm going to click on like Change Empire, but we've already gone over...
so I think if I click on Ready Up, is that what you need from me?
Well, you can actually wait. Hang on. So that it appears on your screen. I guess what you would do is actually stop joining my Empire and then just go to Create Empire, and we can just run through the options you pick.
Okay, just so that we can see it on the folks watching my video. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. So if you go to your Create Empire, and I'll go Change Empire, and we'll go Edit. So because we pre-created this before this video. But just to go over for those who are new and kind of how you create an empire. So I would pick first, you go over the origin, an origin being kind of the pre-space flight history of your nation as to where you've come from and like what was the formative event that led you to take up to the skies. And there's a bunch of different ones. Like I won't go over all of them. Some are weaker, some are stronger. I don't think it matters again if you're not min-maxing. I think all are pretty good. So it's all about just reading the bonuses that they give and whatnot. Now Mike was I asked him, what kind of fantasy would you want to play out in like a sci-fi game? And he said, something like Jedi, right? Sort of something like that. So we picked Teachers of the Shroud. So this one blocks all ascension paths except for psionic ascension. Ascension paths being the way to improve your species in sort of mid to late game, really mid game. And they can either, you can either become cyborgs, or you can become sort of like mind force users like the Jedi, or you can just, be like clone yourself or purify your genes. Those are like the paths, and there's multiple paths now because the last 3 DLC have reworked all of those. So we are going to be Teachers of the Shroud. The backstory here is long before their first steps onto the galactic stage, this civilization has been supported and shaped by a Shroud Walker coven. And that gives us special traits. So we get latent psionic from the start, right? So we have latent psionic abilities, which are dormant in most of its members. Although quite rare, these powers will manifest in some leaders. That obviously gives us some bonuses. He has job efficiency for research producing jobs plus 10%. So any scientists we have are basically, like super intelligent and help us produce more research. And job efficiency for bureaucrats is plus 5%. So again, mind read what application you wanted to put in and therefore process it a lot faster. The beauty of being latent psionic. We also have available star-based buildings. So buildings we can build on our star bases is a Shroud Beacon. A psionic beacon used to spawn a Shroud tunnel in the system. While the Shroud Beacon may be dismantled or destroyed, the tunnel itself cannot be removed. So we'll see how that works. That's very new. We have communications with the Shroud Walker Enclave from the start, a mysterious sect of psionic practitioners dedicated to exploring the Shroud and its ineffable designs. Again, we'll dive into that when we actually get started. And you have guaranteed research options, psionic theory. And this is, I think, a technology that will kind of lead into psionic ascension. So again, I'll explain how technology works, but this one we get a guaranteed option that we can always pick that, as far as I understand. So there are some requirements for various origins. The requirements for this one is that we are some degree of spiritualist, because it's the spiritualists that tend towards psionics, and we cannot be these fanatic purifiers, natural design. So kind of a few civics that are, or a few empire sort of character traits, if you want to call them that are so off theme that they're incompatible with this origin.
So the game kind of forces you to stick to a theme within a certain extent.
Yes, although I mean, I'd say out of like 100 options, you've been denied 3.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's more like it wouldn't make sense. You can still like play around with this origin a lot. Like you can envisage very different types of Teachers of the Shroud origin playthroughs. But yeah, you definitely can't be peddling, for example, cybernetics as an augmentation bazaar if you are, supposedly been following the Shroud for like years and years. And you obviously can't be machine either here. So we picked Teachers of the Shroud. That's what we're going to go with. We then went into government and ethics. And here I would start with the ethics, and that every empire in Stellaris can pick 3 points of ethics, which are, there's basically authoritarian or egalitarian. It's one or the other. You are either spiritualist or materialist. You're either militarist or pacifist. And you're either xenophobe or xenophile. Right, so you either tend towards one leader and or small clique of leaders, or you want to do elections. You're either spiritualist in that you believe in the mind and the soul, or you're materialist in that you believe in research and material sciences and robots. You are militarist, i.e., you believe in, you don't necessarily believe in conquering everybody, but you believe in sort of strength and sort of potentially fighting back defensively or offensively. Or you're pacifist, where you really want to just be left alone and you want to defend. It doesn't mean you can't defend, so but you prefer to be on the defensive most of the time. And xenophobe or xenophile being you want to go out there and meet new species, and xenophobe being you not necessarily hostile, but you're suspicious of them as opposed to leaning out. You're looking in more. So me and Mike, I guess we picked fanatic spiritualist, right? Our science has proved that consciousness begets reality. We regard with patience the childlike efforts of those who delude themselves. It is the other way around, as they play with their blocks of hard matter. So we have fanatic spiritualist. That gives us some bonuses, gives us some unique abilities. So we can build temples, whereas others empires can't. We cannot use full AI rights, however, so we can't make robots full citizens. And we get sort of monthly unity bonus, and we get bonus to an edict upkeep, an edict cost. Mike also picked us as xenophobe. So the description here is the stakes could not be higher as we reach into the vast uncharted expanses of the galaxy, for we are gambling with the very survival of our species. Never trust the alien. Its false smile hides an unknowable mind.
Yeah, so every good fanatics, we hate everyone else.
Yeah. But we're a little bit fanatic, though. We're not super xenophobe, but we're suspicious of everyone for sure.
Yeah.
And again, in Stellaris, every ethic gives you some bonuses. So here, xenophobe, it allows you to purge aliens. Doesn't mean you have to, but you can purge them. You can enslave them. People tend to like us a little bit more off the get-go. Again, we can improve relations. That doesn't stop us from that. We also cannot give aliens full citizenship. So there is that clear delineation between our founding species and everyone else. We cannot allow aliens full military service either. And we don't really want refugees. We might take some sometimes, but we cannot just allow everyone in here.
Yeah, just to clarify my earlier statement, thank you for that. We don't actually hate everyone else. We just look down on everyone else.
Yeah, so we feel as superior, yeah. So I think after the ethics, because the ethics, once you've picked those, they open up the civics being sort of like character traits or feats in an RPG, you could say, that define your character. And here we went with heroic past. So the legendary heroes of the past inspire each new generation to achieve the extraordinary. As role models, government officials embody these ideals. And here again, sort of like Jedi type, sort of Jedi Knights type heritage we have here. Again, each one of these civic can alter your gameplay from a little bit to a lot. This one, I would say, heroic past, I don't think that changes it too much. We basically get more leader capacity, so we can hire more leaders. And we have a special council position, which I think all civics have, for us, it's the grand storyteller, and he gives government ethics attraction plus 2%. So our populace will tend to hold the same beliefs, I guess, be more uniform in their thinking, and leader experience gain plus 2%. So everyone learns a bit faster. And the second civic we picked is Crusader Spirit. The lack of guidance creates weak minds, which easily succumb to corruption and plunge into decadence. This society has assumed the self-imposed mantle, bringing enlightenment to the masses through aggressive proselytizing. And so here our commanders start with the Crusader trait. I'm actually not 100% sure what it means, but it's probably a good trait. And we can only use liberation wars. We'll see how that actually works. I don't actually remember, to be honest myself, what exactly we're liberating and who and from what. But yeah, we definitely have some restrictions. We are sort of like good. We do war for enlightenment, not to just annex territory. Mm-hmm. And you can see here modifiers kind of gives us some weapons damage, ship build speed. So our fleets are a bit stronger. And we have a Lord Commander as a council position, which gives us ship fire rate plus 1% and army damage per his skill level. So that's our nation. Then we pick the authority, which on my screen is kind of on the left here. So we went with dictatorial as opposed to oligarchic, democratic, or imperial. So dictatorial being, sorry, where is it? Sorry.
Orange.
Dictatorial governments are ruled, by a single individual for life that wields absolute control over the state. So we got some strong leadership here, but when he dies, there is a bit of meritocracy. There is an election, and then we're gonna let the next guy kind of get on with it. So we have recruitable leaders per class -1 with that. A lot interesting. Heroic pass gives us +1, so that kind of balances that out. We have ruler experience gain plus 25%. Again, kind of synergizes well with heroic past, for example. And our ruler, his per skill level of our ruler, we get pop amenities usage -2% and edict fund plus 10%. So we'll be able to issue like strong edicts, kind of like guiding our population towards certain ends. And they will use fewer amenities, so they don't need to be entertained as much.
I was just going to ask you if you could give a 10-second explanation of did you say population amenities? But yeah. I think you just did.
Yeah, we'll go when we get into like the planet view. I'll explain what
it's
each one
keeping
means.
People happy.
Yeah, people keeping people happy. Yeah, and like how much the various people need to be happy.
Okay.
And so, what else do we have here?
I think that's for government and ethics.
Yeah, I think that kind of determined us as theocratic dictatorship, basically, and that's what we are, which is basically the spiritualistic dictatorship ruled by a single individual in a hierarchical power structure supported by official state religion. So yeah, that's where we are. The next thing is traits. So that's kind of our species, i.e. what every pop in our empire, what kind of traits do they have, as a species, I guess. And you can see there's obviously a bunch. You get 2 points for free, which you can spend on kind of positive things. And you can see there's some of these cost 1 point, some of these cost 2. And then lower down, if we scroll all the way down, there is obviously negative ones to offset. So you can either just take on 1 or 2 positive traits and not offset them with anything, or you can take additional negative ones to offset some additional positive ones you take. If that makes sense. But the net sum must of pluses and minuses must add up to 0, or something positive. But then you're kind of wasting trait points on nothing. So in our case, without kind of going over every single one, we just picked intelligent. So that's our species. You can see organic and latent psionic we already have from our previous picks. Organic just means that we use food to feed ourselves, and there is pops in this game that feed on minerals and all sorts of other things, and even energy. I think there's all sorts of things. Latent psionic is the trait from our origin, gives us some benefits here. So every pop, if it's working a researcher job, if it's a researcher, it's 5% more efficient. Same with bureaucrat or telepath. Intelligent is very much the same, just gives us, again, plus 10% for all researchers. And there's different types of researchers, as we'll go over when we actually get into the game.
So we should be a little bit ahead in the technology curve.
Yeah. So basically, pretty simple. I mean, there's many different ones, guys, but we won't go over all of them. But we are just intelligent, which kind of makes sense to me. Other than that, like I'd say these are the three key ones. Like species and portrait, that's entirely cosmetic. You see what we went with. Name lists, again, cosmetic. We went with kind of SPQR, so Roman Republic kind of names, right? Mm-hmm. And then we called ourselves the Sivanti order. Sivanti is our species name. We live on a continental planet world. Again, this will kind of play out in the game, but basically it determines what kind of planets, if we find them in the universe, which kinds we can settle and kind of work efficiently. Our pops are happy there and they will produce good output. If we settle anything within at least the same category, like wet, for example, continental is a wet type of climate. If we settle ocean or tropical, we'll be okay. But if we settle something cold or dry, we'll be kind of pretty terrible. You can terraform planets later on in the game. You can do lots of things with planets. Kind of get too much to describe here. But that's for our empire, we're continental. City and room is just appearance. Again, you don't even look at these that often in the game, so they don't really matter all that much. Advisor voice, well, I picked psionic. Again, doesn't matter that much. Flag, again, something kind of imperial Roman kind of looking. Again, doesn't matter too much. Ship sets, we went with psionic because I have the DLC and it's new. Again, just purely cosmetic, so it doesn't really matter too much. Ruler appearance, again, just the name of the ruler. Again, all purely cosmetic. Ours is Marcus Menenius, is what the game gave us. And then last one, ruler traits. So we can change the class of our leader, which determines the traits that are available to them. And I guess what kind of jobs, well, I guess the ruler can actually do any job while he remains the leader of the nation. But we picked ours to be official, which makes him pick from principled, spycraft, mining rush, charismatic, logistics understanding, and I for talent. We picked principle because that's on theme so with us, right? This leader has a strict code and follows our empire's morals, setting a good example for others. Again, that gives us stability +2 if he's a counselor, which he will be because he's the head of the council, because he's the head of government. He's our theocratic dictator. Again, there's many we'll get promote our leaders and such. The leaders are important, so we'll kind of add to this many times. But the starting trait is important in that you can go to level 2 in it earlier, but you can also then kind of randomly roll for other traits for your leader later on, including negative traits.
I just wanted to add here that principled and quite frankly, all of the different selections that we made when setting all this up was trying to stay thematically true to that idea of something along the lines of a Jedi Order theocratic dictatorship. Yeah.
Okay, so then let's pick the Empire and just kind of go over the galaxy settings and get into the actual game.
Okay, so I'm joining your Empire now.
Yeah. So let's try that. I think I only tried that once before, but I think that works.
Try not to accidentally exit the game lobby at this point.
Yeah, let's not. So in terms of gameplay, so difficulty, we're going to go with Grand Admiral. I'm fairly confident we can make it, and I think it will make it interesting for us.
See, I will be very disappointed if I win my first ever game. To me, that would make me think that I didn't play on a high enough difficulty, so... I'm not saying I'm going to try to sabotage us or anything like that. I'm just saying I hope it's plenty difficult.
Yeah, I think it will be we'll be maybe top 5 nation, top 3 maybe.
Okay.
Towards the end of the game, we should be one of the leaders. I don't think I can guide us to be the leader, especially when you play thematically. But there we are, guys. We'll do a medium-sized galaxy so that it's manageable. We will do spiral 3 arms to kind of mimic kind of normal galaxy. I don't really like any of the other ones, to be honest. Elliptical is all right. Spiral 2 arms is all right. Spiral 4 arms is all right. The other ones are a bit odd to me, to be honest. Hyperlink density.
Spoked sounds kind of interesting to me. That almost makes me think of, is there a race to get into the middle?
No, there isn't. It just means you're kind of if you're in one of those spokes, you will limit who you interact with.
Yeah, okay.
Later down the line, because at first there are hyperlanes. As you can see, they're hyperlane density. You can increase that or decrease that, which will sort of split up all the stars into constellations, if you want to call them that. Okay. And then there will be one exit and one entry. And the higher the density of hyperlanes, the fewer choke points there are. So you can kind of make everything interconnected, or I guess the default is 1, so that you kind of like, you have like maybe, I'd say between 3 and 8 stars, and then there's like a choke point. So you kind of take a constellation and try to like turtle inside it. And when you have a war, you war over like a dozen systems, which form like 1 or 2 constellations. So in a spoke, you're kind of stuck, but later on, you can jump without hyperlanes again, like when you get the tech. So that's hyperlane density. We'll leave that on default. We'll go with 13 empires. You can do random, but let's just go with 13. So that it's kind of like there's, to be honest, just to show a variety, let's go with 15, and we'll be the 16th empire. Advanced AI starts, there will be 2, so it'll be kind of 2 big empires right from the start. So they'll have like 2 planets maybe, and like a few systems, as opposed to just a single system. Fallen empires, again, we'll explain that when we meet them, but we'll leave 2 on here. And in terms of advanced setting, guys, I've left everything pretty much as it is. We're going to random crisis type. We're going to increase crisis strength to 1.5 because I think we can make it. Scaling difficulty, I normally have that off, but we'll actually turn it on such that AI will only get big buffs from mid-game, so which will give us like an easier start, so we can kind of treat this more as more of a tutorial.
Okay.
Then everything else, AI aggressiveness, I'm going to put high, so that if we are weak, it will pounce on us. I like that. Everything else is standard, and I wouldn't recommend maybe changing that. Some people sometimes change this for multiplayer to make the game like faster, but otherwise it should be okay. Habitable worlds, so we have it set at 1. I'm actually going to set it at rare because I always play with rare and I still think there is too many. But basically finding a planet that's even habitable will be very rare. Finding a planet that's of your type will be like, oh my god, thank god I found this planet.
I like the sound of that. That means a dopamine hit when you find something that's just right.
And you have to fight for it, like, right? Like, it's important that you get it. And if you have 1 or 2 planets, it's big. Pre-FTL civilizations, so we'll get to meet people who have not reached space age. Again, we'll leave that 1. Empire placement will be random, so everyone's just all over the galaxy. Advanced neighbors, we'll disable that to again make sure none of the advanced empires actually spawn next to us. So advanced neighbors is off. Yeah, abandoned gateways, again, we'll see what this is. Wormhole pairs, this is all features of the galaxy that allow you to like travel in between. Guaranteed habitable worlds, we're gonna have save put us off again to like make sure that when you find a planet, it's really special. Precursors, those are like stories of civilizations that were in our galaxy millions of years ago. I left it at Zeroni because it's one I haven't done in a while. It says the mind is limitless. Their thoughts carried them across the stars, reshaping existence. But even those who see beyond do not always see. Like, I think it kind of probably play well with the Shroud. But there's basically 9 of these, and you get like a random roll. So every time you start a game, you find a different one. So if any of these are kind of appeal to you, to be honest, you can...
No, that sounds good to me.
To be honest, let's do a random one. Let's do Zeroni or Akaria, because those are, I think, both shroudy.
Sure.
So we'll get one or the other, so you see how it actually works. So mid-game start will be 2300, end-game start 2400. Again, if we die, we die. Victory year, let's put it 2500, so because this tutorial's got to end at some point.
Okay.
Marauder Empires is 1. Again, we'll talk about what that is. L-Gates, again, all of that. We'll talk about those when we meet them. Storms.
Now, I have to ask a question here. This is going to show my ignorance, but again, I've never played this. Is this turn-based or is this real-time?
Real-time, like all Paradox games, so you can...
Okay, gotcha. That's
you can
what I figured.
pausable at any time, yeah.
Yeah, in terms of Paradox games, I played a fair amount of Europa Universalis many years ago, but pretty much nothing else. I do know that things like Hearts of Iron 4 are kind of following basically the same engine, but I wasn't sure if this one did as well.
Yeah, it does, yeah. All right, so that's kind of the setup. Let's go ahead if you go ready.
Yeah, I just want to mention one other thing, which is I personally only own the base game, but as Immersioneer explained to me, the fact that he is the multiplayer host and he owns all these DLCs, that actually means that in our game, all of those will be available. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah. I think that's true for all Paradox games, but yeah, definitely for Stellaris.
Okay. So I clicked on ready up.
Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. to load up. Game ready. Yeah. We're gonna go start, right?
Yep.
Are you in?
I see a screen that says Savantian Order here.
Yep. So this is kind of the summary of our empire. I mean, I'll let you read like that's kind of the flavor text starts. I mean, I don't know if you want me to read it or you read it, because otherwise I just talk all the time.
Yeah, I was going to say, why don't I go ahead and read this one then?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, we are the Savantian Order. We are a theocratic dictatorship. Obviously, the ethics, civics, traits, and planet class are everything that we just talked about. But now for the flavor text here. The myths of our forebears speak of the teachers, beings of great knowledge and power who helped to shape our earliest civilization. Through dreams, they approached us from afar, sharing their wisdom of the Shroud and its teachings. Now our teachers have reached out once again. Seeding our dreams with eldritch visions, they have provided us with the key to interstellar travel. In just a few years, we have built vessels capable of traversing the void. But how much farther is it possible to go? Our teachers refer to a shroud tunnel, a natural wormhole that sits at the edge of their home system. Spawning our own tunnel should give us a direct path to the teachers themselves. May they continue to grant us wisdom as we take our first steps onto the galactic stage. And our leader name apparently is Marcus Menenius.
Yeah. So we got a grand purpose, hence where I think xenophobe, that's the way I would roleplay it, right? Like everyone is there, like, I don't know, for money and fame, but we are on a path here, right?
Yep.
Therefore, everyone else needs to make way, right?
Okay, I clicked on begin.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Okay, and we got another. So incoming. So this is just to explain. This is, you wouldn't see this kind of normally. This is because of the origin, right? You get that flavor, and you see immediately here. You can see this guy. So incoming transmission. This is sort of like what you get from like a diplomacy type screen. But I'll let you, I guess, go ahead and read that. Like I've never played this Origin, so I actually don't even know.
Okay, so this is a transmission from someone named Elder Landor Conning. True apprentices are students for generations. We have taught you, seeding our knowledge of the Shroud and its mysteries within your dreams. Now that you have reached the stars, your true apprenticeship is at hand. The path forward will not be an easy one. To light the way, we grant you knowledge of the Shroud Beacon, a device of great power. Once built on one of your star bases, the beacon will spawn a Shroud tunnel. Choose its location carefully, as you will not be able to spawn another. In times of need and uncertainty, call on us. In dreams, we will be watching. In waking life, we await your arrival. And we have two choices here. How should we respond? We receive your gift with gratitude, or we have earned this. And it looks like it's 25 resources.
Yeah, 25 crystals.
Either way. 25 crystals, yeah, okay. So
one thing I will know just generally, like if you hover over a lot of things in Stellaris, you'll get like a tooltip. So if you kind of hover over Elder Landor Konig, you can get a little bit of his background.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it really matters, but for example, he's basically some super species living in the Shroud.
So we may have future interactions with him.
Yeah, I think we definitely will, yeah.
Okay.
So we grant you knowledge of the Shroud Beacon, a device of great power. So once built on one of your star bases, the beacon will spawn a Shroud tunnel. Yeah, up to you. I mean, some of these dialogue choices are flavor, but some will impact us later on.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not immediately apparent what, because both of them do say resources 25, and that was going to be my question is it going to remember our answer and have that affect our relations later?
I could. Like, it's not... doesn't always do that. Most of the dialogue in the game, I'd say, is more like flavor.
Okay.
But I think it can affect
well,
it.
Well, I mean, these are the folks who have been teaching us, so we may be fanatics and we may look down on everyone else, but we probably don't look down on him. So I'm going to go ahead and receive his gift with gratitude.
Yeah.
And now, it looks like I can select it, but I'm assuming either one of us could select this. Is that right?
Well, try it. When you press begin, it didn't actually click it for me. So I'm kind of curious how this co-op thing works. Yeah, okay, you clicked it and it disappeared for me as well.
Okay.
Okay. Well then, so I would press E or M on your keyboard, or you see down at the bottom where it says Imaka, our Empire homeworld.
Yes.
Right. If you click on the galaxy button on the right of that,
okay,
it kind of zooms you out to the galaxy view.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right, and you can see.
I can just scroll out here. Ooh.
Yeah, you see that is basically our galaxy.
Ooh. Okay, so right mouse and hold allows me to kind of spin things around a little bit. Obviously, the mouse wheel zooms in and out.
Yeah.
But I can't like pick it up and move it around. It appears.
No. So the WASD works.
Oh, okay.
And then
gotcha.
And then EE lets you kind of zoom in on the system that you're hovering over.
Okay, there we go. I see. All right, and you said EE, like a double E here?
No, just if you hover over any system that you have some info and you press E, you will be able to go to the solar system view.
Oh, okay, that's cool. All right.
And if you press E again, you go back into the galaxy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's useful. So let's just talk about the basics, I guess, while the game is paused here, but not actually get started until the next episode.
Yeah, exactly. But you can see basically we're in top right? So you spawn in random location every time. We're in top right here. We own one system, right? Since you see that's kind of we have that green thing around us. If we click on our solar system, it's really all that. Well, I mean, rather, if you look at our solar system in a galaxy view, that's what I said. There's hyperlanes between systems, right? You need to claim a system. You need to first survey a system with a science ship, then claim it with a construction ship, and then you can settle planets in it or build star bases and such. And you see some of those you can obviously see are choke points. Those are probably the ones you want to explore first. But each system has, if you click, let's say, go back to our system, right? Imaka, you can see it has planets, and beneath each planet there's an energy or mineral, right? And that's basically how if you build a little station above it, it's not exactly a star base, but it's a little station. It will extract that resource for you for your economy, right?
Okay, now there's quite a bit of information here on Imaka itself. That's the only planet that we have currently settled. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Although, except we have a research station on Caledonia. It looks like we have something here on Thronacia.
Yeah, so these research station and Thronacia, the mining station.
Okay.
It's kind of it doesn't do anything. Either you build it on top of a planet with a resource or an asteroid, and it just gives you that resource into your economy.
I see. Okay.
Right?
Now, are those already built, or do we need to click on them to build them, or something like that?
No, those are already built, but there are some other, for example, down at the bottom is Nova Arabia, right? A little moon with two gears.
Yep.
That is the resource is there, but we haven't built a research station to collect that engineering research.
And there would be no value in us building a mining facility there, for example, because it doesn't have that resource available. Is that correct?
No, you wouldn't build a mining. You would only build a research facility on top of it.
Okay.
So that it yields you that. Yeah. But that's kind of automatic, so that's nothing to really
so,
think of. But
basically, every planet normally only has one resource available, or are there some that have multiple?
Some have multiple, yeah. So you can get up to 6 of that resource. Sometimes you get 2. There's also special resources later. So we'll kind of uncover that as we go along.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, it looks like Nova Aegyptus here to our southwest. That's a high priority target because that provides 5 of its resource, which is obviously more than 2 of some of these other planets. Yeah,
except it's in green, so you already have a mining station on top of it.
I was zoomed out at an inappropriate level to be able to see that.
Yeah. So that one's it's kind of hard to see.
Yeah,
but you don't really spend much time in solar system view, to be honest. Only when you fight fleet battles. So once you get going, you're really spending most of your time
in the galaxy.
Galaxy view. Yeah. But what you can see also here, so we have a star base here, this Imaka station, right? That has some modules in it, and that is where they want us to build that shroud beacon. But we'll deal with that later. These star bases there, I'd say mostly defensive structures, but you can also specialize them into an economic structure.
Okay,
but-
which one is the star base? Because I've got
sorry.
six different things around Imaka here.
Yeah, so next to our planet, there is like it's called Imaka Station, and it's got like 684 military power.
Okay, yeah,
It's kind of
yeah.
like
I see the 684 military power. How do you know it's called Imaka Station?
Just when you click on it, that's all. Because it's
there
it's
we
called
go.
Imaka
Okay,
Station.
I just hadn't clicked on it as all. Okay,
Yeah,
so
you can only have one of these in each system.
yeah, because I don't know these icons, so that is presumably
sorry.
the icon for a starport.
Yeah, like a starport. Yeah.
Okay.
So this one, for example, has a shipyard and a solar panel network, right? So shipyard means it can build ships. Solar panel network means it gives us like 6 credits, like 6 energy, so 6 of money basically. But we can leave that alone for now. But that's basically you have one of these stations in every system, and then you can upgrade them into like massive citadels where it's like it's worth a fleet. That's what makes it hard to take a system from someone, right? But we can leave that alone for now and just click on Sivasia, right? If you just click on the planet, you'll get like the planet screen.
Gotcha.
And that is probably we can spend like 15 minutes on that. Because that's key.
Okay.
So this is our a system where our civilization grew up on, right? It's a habitable planet that we have obviously. Well, I guess we sort of arose on it, and we can find others like it and settle them. But for now, this is our only planet. So you can see in top right here. And by the way, guys, we're playing with the dynamic UI overhaul mod because I feel it's pretty much necessary. I think anyone who plays Stellaris just views that as a base case. But you can see here, we've got planet summary, so continental world, like we picked, right? Habitability is 100%, so that whatever job a pop does, we'll get 100% of that. It won't be like cut because they are experiencing hardship, because it's not, the climate is like, the climate is not compatible with our species.
It's suboptimal.
Yeah, suboptimal rather, yeah. Colonized, apparently just today, I would have thought it probably been taken over a few 3,000 years before that. But yeah, size 19. So size 19, like you can get up to 30 size, but that's special. I'd say generally like 24, 25 would be like a very nicely large sized. 12, 15 is kind of a small sized planet. And what does size mean exactly? It means how many of like buildings and districts, which we'll talk about in a second, that you can build on it. I.e. like basically, and districts and buildings are where pops actually work to produce something. So 19 size, everyone starts with roughly a similar planet. But I mean, there are some origins that let you start with a 30 size planet. There are some that make you start with like a 12 sized, just to make it more difficult. All right.
Yep.
So that's kind of that. Then you can see across like the top. First of all, we have like a governor. So you see here, Postumus Attilius, right? He's a minister of state, which means he's on the council. We'll talk about that later. But he's also governing this planet. And what does that mean? You see, that means he's level 1 official. That little 1 in sort of orange there. Do you see it next to his?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So that's kind of his level. I mean, the higher he ranks up, even just from being a governor, right? You see if you hover over it, right? If he's a planet governor, it says you get plus 2% to like every resource, basically.
Gotcha.
And then he has a psychic trait, which I think some of our leaders have, but maybe not all. But again, psychic trait, depending on what job he's doing, and he's a planet governor, he gives us unity from jobs plus 10%, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he has a trait called righteous, and this is randomized. So when he gets promoted, we'll pick other traits. If you restart this game, he might get another one. But he basically gets crime minus 25. So he reduces crime by 25. Pretty nice.
Okay. Now that like that number of minus 25, I don't really know what the range of crime is in this game. Is that a 0 to 100 type of a number?
Yeah, I would say it's about 0 to 100, yeah.
Okay.
0, you don't get anything for it being negative, for less than 100, but that's good. Once it starts going to like 100, planets can rebel, you can get like crime mobs taking over your planets and just inducing all sorts of penalties. There could be like a drug epidemic. All bad things can happen. And there's other ways to decrease crime, like multiple ways. Through technology, through buildings, and whatnot.
Okay, and it says sector governor effect, so are there multiple sectors for one planet?
No, so you can have two planets if they're like in the same system
it's the
or
other
very
way
close
around.
to each other.
It's multiple planets per sector. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. So planets that are close by can be governed by a sector governor, but you can also assign an individual planet governor to each planet if you wanted to.
Gotcha.
Right. So you can see the bonuses for the sector governor are smaller because like he's sort of split between, let's say, several planets. So then I guess to explain, to be honest, before we even get into the planet, well, I guess you can see there's 4.8 thousand pops living on here, and they're generally numbered in like hundreds, but you'll see how they grow and they change. Right?
And
so we have
completely
4.8.
homogeneous. We're all Savanti.
Yeah, right now. Yeah, we're all Savanti, which is great, right? Thematically for us. But I mean, there's advantages to having pops of different types. I'd say mainly because you can colonize different types of planets from the get-go, right? So for right now,
if I remember correctly, our chosen traits or whatever would have allowed us to enslave others.
Yeah.
So
but
it
even
would
if we
make sense
enslave
we wouldn't start with any. But if we were to get slaves, does that mean we would import slaves into this planet or what?
So everyone who would conquer would turn slave on that planet. We would then need to get our pops on there to become rulers, because otherwise, if there's not a single pop of ours on the enslaved planet, they'll just rebel.
Gotcha.
But you can also resettle people, and yes, we would send people to our planet and put them in like low-level, like minor jobs, for example.
Makes sense.
But basically, then before you kind of get into these individual planet stats of like housing, amenities, and that, you can, I'd say, broad strokes at a high level. You can see we have these city districts, right, which is where people live, right, and they have some buildings. So there's like urban areas, right. Then you have below that you have generated districts, which is where people like generate power, and kind of weirdly in Stellaris, power like energy credits is basically money.
It's just a currency.
It's kind of currency, but it's also kind of represented as like energy, as in like electricity, I think.
Okay.
Kind of thing, I think. So there is generated district, there's mining districts, which gives us miners who obviously mine all sorts of, they mine minerals, right? And then there's agriculture districts for people who make food. And these are like the basic jobs. You can either like be in a city urban area and be like a little clerk. You can either be like work in a power generation, a miner, or an or a farmer, right? And if we look in top left of the whole screen, right, you can see there's like all the resources, or like a bunch of resources there, right? And you can see we have energy credits 200 and plus 47, right?
Yep.
So we have 200 stock plus 47, obviously. Energy credits are like needed for upkeeping like stations and ships, and all sorts of things. And sometimes to buy for like events, you can buy things, or you can sometimes basically spend like big chunks of money to buy something, but not often. I'd say most of it will just be like a flow currency to upkeep our infrastructure of various kinds.
Okay.
And then you have minerals, right? We have 200 plus 13, so obviously stock 200 generating 13. Minerals you need to build basic buildings. For example, all buildings on our planet we build with minerals, and all basic things in space we build with minerals as well. But also, minerals are converted into things you see below, which is alloys, right? And you see those we have 200 plus 9. So alloys are like very precious. They're like processed minerals. And alloys we spend on building ships. It will be predominantly military ships, but also like construction ships and science ships. And stations.
I see that we have these basic mines, so I understand where our minerals are coming from, but where are our alloys coming from? Do we have some type of a facility that is turning materials into alloys?
Yes. So for example, in the urban districts, you see where it has city districts, right? You can see there's a mixed industry, which is like one of the specializations. which I'll talk about in a sec. But you see mixed industry.
I do.
You see it
yes.
has civilian industries next to it, right? But that one actually produces consumer goods, which is not helpful for this explanation. But if you click on the open building slot, you see that plus? You can build alloy foundries inside of it.
Okay, but we don't currently have any, so I'm wondering where our surplus is coming from.
So they're coming, if you just hover over city districts, kind of the districts, the urban districts in itself, right? If you hover over it, you can see what it gives you. It says from district specializations.
I see. I got it. So we've got metallurgist jobs plus 150. Metallurgists turn minerals into alloys.
Exactly, yeah. So you kind of have them, like in any city, you have some metallurgists. But if you wanted to really like focus, you know, you do like a mega project, so to speak, and you build like an alloy foundry. Yeah, so to really get like a big boost, right? And from that, you can see every one of these districts, like city, generator, mining, or farms, they produce a lot of like some or a lot of the basic, but you can augment them with buildings that kind of make a push in this or that direction. Right, because you could make a planet with all civilian industries, right, and they would just produce like only consumer goods, or you could be alloy foundries, and they convert lots of minerals into alloys.
Gotcha.
All of your resources across all planets are shared. Like there's no like blockades of, well, I mean, there's a bit of a blockade mechanic, but generally they just kind of go up into your pool. So alloys produced on one planet, they just you can spend them anywhere.
So for the most part, these resources, all of these currencies, are empire-wide.
Yeah, global. Yeah. So, for example, if this planet didn't produce any food, but another planet produced lots of food, which is very much viable, the food just magically jumps to this planet.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now,
we'll talk about blockades later.
Yeah, like you can blockade, so you can kind of stop a planet from interacting with another planet, but it's sort of done in the background automatically for you.
Okay, I do have another question. These buildings, are they, you build it and that's it? You've got one of those, or are they upgradable?
They're upgradable, and they're changeable, and they are modifiable.
Okay.
So yeah, we will build Alloy Foundry. You can then upgrade it to like Alloy Foundry level 2. You can also change specializations. You see where it says mixed industry, you can change that to like some other like heavy industry that focuses specifically on alloys, which there's basically all sorts of customization you can do with your planet.
Gotcha. I'm looking at that temple that we have under archives and wondering, are we later going to upgrade that to be a bigger temple?
Yes, okay. We are. Yeah, so for all buildings pretty much are upgradable. So we're going back to resources, right? So we have energy, we got minerals. Minerals get, either you build stuff with them, like basic things, or you convert them into alloys and build space stations and fleets. Then you have food. Food is really kind of like energy, I'd say, but I'd say least important, especially for organic empires, because we basically grow food so that our pops can eat it. And that's about it. There's not much else you can really do with it, until mid or late game, maybe.
So you just want to make sure you're maintaining the minimum necessary.
Yeah, exactly. You want like some stockpile. You definitely don't want to go in a deficit, but broadly that's food for you. Then on the left, so we talked about consumer goods, right? So you see under energy, there is consumer goods. Now, consumer goods are actually also produced from minerals, right? So minerals, apart from building basic buildings, they also either get converted into alloys or into consumer goods. And the consumer goods themselves are used as upkeep, like food. For example, food kind of keeps pops alive. Consumer goods keeps them happy and keeps certain jobs. The better the job, the more consumer input it requires. Like, for example, a researcher or an entertainer or like a priest in a temple, to kind of signify that it's a better job, that guy wants like a better standard of living, they consume more consumer goods as upkeep. You don't really get much else from them, but they're basically like upkeep mechanic.
Gotcha.
Whereas energy is used to upkeep your like stations and fleets, kind of more like infrastructure. Consumer goods are used to upkeep your pops together with food.
Okay.
And that's basically the economy. So I'd say like minerals are generally, I'd say, the most important one, and then alloys are like the most important one. Okay. Everything else is more like upkeeping the rest of it, keeping everything balanced.
Well, I think that's a pretty good information dump right there. That's an awful lot to digest.
Yeah,
But it all makes
Yeah.
sense. You've done a good job explaining it.
Well, yeah, hopefully. But I guess, yeah, I mean, I'm not, you are probably out of time, right? I'm looking at that.
Yeah, I'm
What?
running up against my time limit here, so
Yeah,
we'll have to
that's
we'll
fine.
pick
So
up with like the ships and the military aspect of this maybe at the start of the next episode.
yeah, I suggest, yeah, let's do that. And then the next episode, we can go over like the planet, planetary management. There's a bit more left with the buildings, but we'll try to kind of unpause and get going, right? And just kind of, I'll explain things as we go,
Yep,
rather
that
than do
sounds
like
good.
a massive. Yeah, but that's kind of the basics of Stellaris, right? You build ships, you settle planets, you build stations, and you get this galaxy view. You get, you claim systems or maybe conquer systems, interact with other empires, and live for play the game for a couple of 100 years until you conquer them, or you get conquered, or there's a crisis and the whole galaxy goes up in flames, etc. And also pursuing your origin story and whatever role play you kind of thought to yourself.
Yeah, that really answers the question I was going to ask, which is there's very clearly a lot of depth to it in the sort of the empire management has a lot of mechanics and things that are just going to take some experience to learn how to balance them all, how to juggle them all. But also in terms of quote unquote winning the game, it's not just I have to conquer the whole galaxy. There's a lot more to it than that, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't think the game even defines victory other than that time limit.
It's more sandbox than that.
Yeah, but you could say defeat the last crisis and defend the galaxy, or you could paint the map your color. Broadly, it's something of those. So you can become the leader of the galaxy in a diplomatic way as well.
Yep, very good.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I'm looking forward to the next episode and us maybe actually starting to expand a bit. I love the exploration aspect of these full.
Yeah, and Stellaris is very unique because we will get a lot of story both with our origin and just random kind of quests type in an RPG that happen and that give a lot of flavor as to why we're expanding, where what each system is. There's at the start there's a lot. Yeah,
right.
But I hope you guys everyone enjoyed that. Yeah, that sort of format.
I
get more people into Stellaris.
I've got a little bit better understanding about the game. I'm clearly, nowhere near knowing it all at this point, but it's a lot less intimidating at this point than it was.
Yeah, and hopefully for everyone, I think the reason it's perfect is you'll ask questions that probably come up on everyone's mind who's playing for the first time, right? And I'll be able to answer them, hopefully.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody who is with us. Yeah. Please feel free to post questions in the comments to the video. I suspect we'll probably do at least one more before we release this first one, so we may not immediately have an obvious response to any questions or anything like that are posed in the comments, but we'll do our best.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Give it a like if you enjoyed it. Help spread the message. I think there needs to be more people actually playing Stellaris, and I would love to play multiplayer with lots of people.
Yeah, I mean, if you can somehow figure out a way to create a 26 or 27 hour day, then I could definitely see playing this more frequently.
Oh, yeah, it's all in the shroud.
Yeah, right. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say thanks everybody so much, and we'll see you all in the next episode.
Yep. Thanks everybody.